Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Greetings, Algo Artisans Cowboy here. It is Monday, March 30th, and it is about 7 p.m. EST. We're going to take a look at the charts today as we always do. First, half of you who watch this are not subscribed. Please subscribe, hit the thumbs up. It helps us out. We give great data here, and it's really like the best kept secret when it comes to trading, Forex, metals, stocks, all that stuff. So, go ahead and do that. Also, there is a link in the description. It's a free algo. It's a very quick video. I build an algo, show you how I do it, turn it into code using Grok, and I show you the tools that traders use to connect their algo once optimized to their broker so it can trade for them while they're not even sitting at the computer. It's really cool stuff. So today we're going to take a look at the usual suspects. We're going to take a look at NASDAQ, USDJPY, Bitcoin, EURUSD, GBPJPY, gold, and silver. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the data that comes out, the economic data that can move these charts around and add volatility, can give us opportunities. We're going to see that over at forexfactory.com. So tomorrow, some data coming out, 8:30 a.m. EST for Canada. Their GDP is coming out. 10 a.m. we have the USD JOLTS job openings. Wednesday at 8:15 a.m. EST, we have non-farm employment change. 8:30 a.m. we have retail sales data coming out for the US. So that should add some good volatility to the market, give some opportunities to trade. And then more data comes out at 10 a.m. EST, the ISM manufacturing PMI data. Thursday, we have unemployment claims for the USD at 8:30 a.m. Friday, we have more employment data, unemployment rates, hourly earnings change, a few things like that. And again, that's for the USD and should give us some opportunities. Now, a lot of the European banks shut down towards the end of the week, and they made some pretty big moves just today and yesterday. So things might slow down, they might not. The USD might take over and continue to give us opportunities. So let's take a look at the charts. We'll start with the NASDAQ. Now, I did call this out months ago, right? So beginning of February, I was saying how the NASDAQ is vulnerable. I might have said that even before that. Now, it ranged for like 2 months between 24,220 and 25,487. And I did say it was going to break to the downside, and I said that it would happen soon, and here it is. Now, Trump did try to keep this from happening, it appears, like he did here on the prior week when he made some kind of announcement to make it sound like the Iran war was going to end. And he did try that again, apparently, and it did not work because, you cry wolf 12 times, the 13th time, nobody's going to believe you. So we might see the NASDAQ go down. How far it's going to go is hard to say. 22,485 is a number I've looked at and I've talked to you guys about quite a bit. It's the January 2025, December 2024 highs before the taper tantrum hit, right? There's liquidity there. So price might make its way down there even in the next few days. Yeah, by the end of the week is very possible. Could bounce there, or it could actually just kind of hang out there. I don't know that it's going to rocket down once it hits there, though. I think it'll either hang out there or even bounce there. We'll see how that goes. Let's take a look at USDJPY. Now, typically USDJPY tends to go down as the market does because money flows into the Japanese yen as a safe haven. Well, it also flows into the dollar. And in this particular case, the dollar is getting strong against a lot of currencies. We're going to talk about that when we take a look at a few other currency pairs. What matters right now, though, is that this is an interesting chart. It's bullish high time frame, but it is up against some resistance. That lends itself to a range. Where's that range going to be? Most likely, I think it's going to be, as you see it on the chart, with a lower bound at 159.28 or so in yen, or 160.50 or so in yen to the dollar. I think price will probably bounce around, and every time price reaches one of these areas, there's a good chance you could get yourself a trade. Might be able to trade when it tops out here, or even if it tops out, say, a little before that, because it could really top out anywhere. It could top out right here. I'm just drawing general ideas. Anytime price comes to this edge, it might be a good time to take a trade, a range trade. They usually have some pretty high profit margins on these range trades. If it breaks out, it breaks out, right? You can get 2 or 3 range trades in a row with big risk to reward. All you have to do is just win one of them. You could lose 2 and still be profitable. There's money to be made right there. If it breaks out, you can do a breakout trade. And it really could break out to either side. But I don't think it's going to happen. If it does happen, you have the opportunity. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin I've been bearish on for some time, and I've called these moves out really, really well. Algo Factory got to see me take a pretty big trade on the move up to 76,000 here, as I did predict that breakout trade. And I did have it only going to 74, and I took profit there, but it ended up going up to 76,000. Now it's heading back down towards 65, and I think we're going to see 63-ish by the end of the week. I know there's a lot of lines drawn on here. Well, it's because it could do all these different things, but the main thesis is that it makes its way down to 63,000. It might bounce there, it might dump below there. All that stuff kind of is what's in the balance, but I do think we're going to see that downward pressure. Even if it spikes up, I think it'll head back down, right? That's what we're looking at with Bitcoin. And again, I think we're seeing the beginning, even the middle of what's going to be the bear market. I think we're going to have our low later this year, probably below 30,000. Let's take a look at EURUSD. I think this will grind downwards. I think the euro, as we talked about earlier, is getting bearish against the dollar, finally rolling over after a year of just heading up. So we're looking at probably continued move down. Of course, there are bounces up on the way down. This is the most likely pattern I see happening. A quick move up, maybe just to this sort of 114.84 level right here. Let me zoom in for you. Just a quick move up, if it moves up at all to this level at the most, and then a move down to this 113.92. Now that might be a nice trade to take right here as price moves up and flips around, right? Decent little spot to take a short right there. I'd have to wait for everything to line up for that. I couldn't just set the order. It's not the way that I trade, but I think that's a good 3-to-1 trade to take. I think that's very possible. Might not even go that high. Might only go like, up to here. It's hard to say what it's going to do, but once the algos kick in, say that I can go ahead and take that trade, I will, if in fact that's the case, and make some nice profit. The other possible trade to take might be here as we meet this bottom, because there's probably going to be some kind of a bounce. Now, how high that bounce goes is hard to say. It's going to depend on a few things, but we might be able to yank out at least a 2-to-1 on this, see how it works, right? And then after that, we'll just have to take a look at the price action, see how it behaves, go from there. Let's take a look at GBPJPY. Now, I think the next trade to take here is probably going to be some sort of a short. We have right now the British pound getting weak against a lot of currencies. I think it's going to want to continue down. And I think that we're going to see price head up a little bit because this was a very strong move for the yen. This move right here that happened last several hours. I think we're going to see a bit of a retrace. May go this high, may not go that high, but however high it goes, once the algos tell me to go short, I will probably look for a short in this area and take a nice move all the way down and cut off before this level of 209.17. I'll probably cut out, a little sooner than that, like 209.35. Okay, so I realize the last few shows I've done, I haven't really been showing you possible trades, so I figured this is where you can see the money, right? The money gets made in places like this. Like this trade could be like easily a 3-to-1, meaning that I could put in $100 and pull out 300, put in $1,000, pull out 3,000. This is what we do. This is how we do it. This is how money is made in this game. And the same thing goes with Bitcoin and gold, silver, and everything. So speaking of gold and silver, let's take a look. I don't expect a lot out of gold and silver. Now, it might be a little bit of a short to take because you keep seeing price sort of reject at this 46.04. So if you're like day trading or even if you're swing trading, might be an opportunity to grab a short in this area. Gold and silver are tricky. They're very controlled, but they've calmed down quite a bit. So when things get calm, structure is what matters, and this structure looks like a nice place to take a little bit of a short. I don't really trade gold and silver as much, but I know a lot of people do, so here's the opportunity right there. Now, if it does head down, of course, we're looking at this structure right here, where price might bounce again, and it may be a place to take a long, possibly. We have to see how it goes, right? Have to see how price behaves, whether or not the algos actually tell me I can take the trade. That's probably at least a 2-to-1 in this area, if not better. So just an opportunity for you guys to take a look at. One last thing on gold before we take a look at silvers. If there is a breakout, I think it would be upside, but it's just getting really quiet. All the money from gold and silver went to go over to trade in oil, right? It's kind of what happened. So we might not see any breakouts because breakouts require volatility. So if oil looks like it's finally done doing its thing, we'll have to start to see more volatility in metals. Or if there's a strange event like a nuclear war, which heaven forbid we have, right? So this is what I expect. That's how I would trade it. Let's take a look at silver. Very similar. If I were to short silver, maybe like a day trade short might be doable here because price, as I zoom in, continues to bounce, continues to reject at this 71 level. So maybe that's the place to find shorts for now, but it easily could break to the upside. The same thing as with gold. If it were to break out, I would expect upside. I just don't see a lot of volatility in the market in this current time, right? Another place I'd look for shorts would be right about here because you have two rejections right at 74.60. So the market might keep the price below that level and I might take a short in this area. And where would I take it to? Not a lot of meat on the bone for like a quick move like that. I might take this and then, say move the stop to entry, take off all the risk and see if I could get a little bit more out of it. It's just, there's not a lot of volatility in metals, right? I just expect sideways in metals this week. I might not even try to really trade it. If I do, it's got to be worth my time. Either way though, this is what we do. We predict where price is going to go and when it's going to get there. That's how we make money in trading. We teach you how to do that over at algofactory.tech. If you want to get a preview, take a look in the description. There's a link. It's a free algo that I built. It's a quick video. It's like, 10, 15 minutes long. I'll show you how I build a very basic algo, how I turn it into code, and I show you the tools that traders use to connect their algo to their broker so that they can actually have the computer trade according to their algo when they're not even sitting at the computer. Of course, you have to optimize that algo to work for whatever you're trading. You can't just plug it in, right? Either way, though, we teach you how to do all that stuff. So come on in. We also do live shows, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 8:30 a.m. EST. We're on live. For the first 10 minutes, we let YouTube see everything. Oftentimes, I will take a trade for everybody to see. Now, during the second 50 minutes of that, the next 50 minutes, we do the private live lab for our members only, and they get to ask us whatever they want. They'll talk to the gorilla if they want to know what's happening in the macro, or even in the short term with a lot of stuff. He's really good with precious metals, really good with stock market, and he gives us his expertise. And of course, I do this, what you see right here, and I will take my trades and I will map out possible trades, and we get them every week. We get winners. We win more than we lose, and we win more often than we lose. So come on over, algofactory.tech. Thanks for watching. We'll see you bright and early, 8:30 a.m. EST. Come learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro. See you later.